Hello everyone, Laura K. Buzz here. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet are 2 weeks away from release now, and I wanted to throw together a quick, dirty little video, because I have theories about how shiny hunting in Scarlet and Violet could be more accessible than Pokémon Legends Arceus was for particularly deaf and hard-of-hearing players. I'm not going to play this whole video, but if you want like a full explanation of Pokémon Legends Arceus's shiny hunting and how it was less accessible for deaf players, go watch the video that's on the screen now, Deaf Accessible Shiny Hunting Pokémon Legends Arceus. The short version, if you are a hearing player and you're not looking at a shiny Pokémon and it happens to spawn in away from where you can see, the game will play a little sound effect to tell you that it spawned, so that even if you're not looking at it, you know that it spawned and you can have a look around. That happens regardless of where you're looking, but the visual cue is only if you're looking exactly at where the Pokemon is when it spawns. As a result, deaf players were at a considerable disadvantage, shiny hunting, because they could not hear the sparkle sound effect happening, and wouldn't get a visual effect that would tell them there's a shiny Pokemon here unless they were looking at it. Let me play the little clip quickly. There we go. We heard the little ding sound even though we hadn't seen the shiny. We looked around, there's a shiny Pokemon. And this is kind of a problem because like it's not great that shiny hunting is less accessible for a group of users with a specific disability. At the time when Pokemon Legends Arceus came out, I had a little theory about like I had some suggestions of what could be done to make it more accessible, and let me just quickly dig up the clip so I can show you what like my suggestion at the time was. So yeah, I've turned the sound off quickly, but you'll get the gist. Hey, you're not hearing any game audio? Maybe have a little visual that sort of points you towards where the shiny is. So if you're not looking at it, you know there's one around. Go have a look at it. I don't think that's what Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are going to ultimately do, but I have a theory. I have a theory as to how they might be able to make shiny hunting more accessible, because like Scarlet and Violet very clearly made in like basically the same engine. They're using all the traversal mechanics from Legends Arceus. I have some theories about how they might be able to make it so that people who cannot hear can still tell that there's a shiny Pokemon somewhere nearby. So, here's my theory, and like, granted, I know that there are other explanations possibly for what I'm about to talk about, but stick with me for a second. We have seen that sometimes the minimap in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet displays nearby Pokemon species that you can encounter. You can see it here in this screenshot where we weren't supposed to see a bunch of these Pokemon. The Salt Pokemon, the little family of mice, the little parrot, they kind of got leaked in this trailer. But, point being, sometimes the minimap shows Pokemon that are nearby. But, as we see from this other screenshot from the recent patch of gameplay that came out when there were hands-on previews of the game, not always. There is a Lechonk near the player in this screenshot, but no Lechonk on the minimap. So, let's be clear. There are other explanations other than shiny related stuff, as to why this is. It's possible that the Pokemon being shown on the minimap in that in this screenshot, maybe this is just a debug feature for devs to be able to like more easily find Pokemon they're looking for while capturing like gameplay footage. Maybe this screenshot should have the Pokemon visible, but they turned them off as a debug feature in order to make sure that like they didn't have another issue like this where they accidentally leaked some Pokemon they weren't meant to. Maybe they just turned off Pokemon showing up on the minimap to avoid spoilers. But like, I think it's more interesting if we look at this as as potentially a feature where maybe sometimes Pokemon are visible on the minimap and sometimes they aren't. Why would that be? Here's my theory. We know that shiny Pokemon are visible as shiny on the overworld, thanks to a Cerebi preview of Scarlet and Violet. They talked about encountering a shiny overworld Pokemon. What if Pokemon appearing on the minimap is something you have to earn? It is, maybe you gotta go explore some towers or find some item or complete the gym of an area or something like that, and you start seeing the overworld spawns on your minimap. What if not just overworld visible shinies, but minimap visible shinies? That would be a really good solution to the fact that deaf players aren't going to hear the sparkle animation sound for a Pokemon that's off screen, if they can reach a point where the minimap will show them, oh, that's a shiny Pokemon on my minimap, even if they didn't hear the sparkle, that might be a fix for the accessibility issue that I was talking about. Now, again, I have no proof that that is the case. I have no proof that this isn't just a case of a debug feature switched on or off for one trailer for reasons completely unrelated to this, but like, Pokemon Company, if this isn't the case, it should be the case. Make shiny Pokemon visible as shiny on the minimap so that deaf players have just as much chance as the rest of us to go, ooh, there's a shiny somewhere nearby, I gotta go find it quick. Anyway, that's all the thought I had. This is a little quick and dirty video, but Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's out in like 2 weeks, and I'm putting this video out now so that if this is the implementation, I can feel proud of myself and go, look at me, I predicted a Pokemon feature, I know what I'm on about. Have a good time waiting for the games to release, everyone. Bye.